Yo, how's it going everyone? It's me, Arctic. Today's video we're going to be going over a complete comprehensive guide to building a Rosaria. We're going to talk about the physical build for DPS, we're going to talk about the cryo build for DPS, we're going to talk about a support build for her, and that's basically the three builds that we have for Rosaria. If you guys wouldn't mind, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're making some pretty good progress. I just recently hit 500 subscribers, so I will be doing a live stream on the child banner when it comes out and the Rosaria banner trying to C6 Rosaria. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And yeah, just stop by. It's going to be right here on YouTube, so make sure you guys subscribe if you're interested in that. Something to keep in mind is that she has an attack percentage bonus on Ascension, so she's not restricted to something like cryo damage bonus or physical damage bonus on her Ascension. So overall she's going to have a better damage thanks to this attack percentage, so she's going to be able to do good physical damage and also cryo damage at the same time. And that is extremely valuable for this character with how this character performs. No, her E is on a short cooldown, so it has pretty good cryo application, its multipliers are pretty decent, and her ult, this basically is like a pulsating kind of thing, also adds a lot of cryo application, not the most energy cost. And with her passive talents, these passive talents center around crit rate. So this first one, it gives Rosaria extra crit rate when she uses her E and gets a crit with that. And then this second one, whenever you cast your ultimate ability, you're going to give your party members 15% of Rosaria's crit rate, so that can get up to 15%. So realistically, you're probably going to shoot for about 80 crit rate on your Rosaria. We don't know if the Blizzard Strayer set effect works on her or not. We'll probably have to do testing when she's released. But right now, you're probably going to want to use a weapon that has crit rate on it. Constellations. Her Constellations setup is actually very interesting. The first one is a DPS constellation. The second one is a support and DPS constellation. So Constellation 2 is the most neutral out of all of these. Constellation 4 is a support-oriented one, focusing on giving Rosaria more energy. And this 6th constellation is a support and DPS constellation, either boosting Rosaria's own physical damage with her physical attacks, or using this to boost like other characters like Razor's physical attacks if you want to use her as a support for Razor. Now in terms of the three builds, there are three builds that I would recommend using with her, and we're going to start with the physical damage DPS build, and then we're going to do the cryo DPS route using Chongyun in that setup, and then we're going to finish up talking about the support Rosaria build. So for DPS Rosaria, the first set that you want to have a two-piece of is going to be Bloodstained Chivalry. This is going to give you 25% extra physical damage, which is going to be extremely good because most of where your actual damage is going to be coming from is from the physical damage. And then I would also recommend running the two-piece of the Cryo Blizzard Strayer set. That will give you a bit more E damage, and it'll also give you a bit more ult damage. So you can have pretty good damage overall with using a set. Or alternatively to that cryo set, you can use a two-piece Glad, which will give you 18% attack. This will be also very good to use. In terms of what you want on your goblet, you're going to want physical damage for this build by far, because you're going to get lots of damage from that. You also possibly could run an attack percentage goblet if you had one, if you wanted to do a hybrid build between physical damage and also cryo damage. Attack percent would boost all of your damage overall. You would be getting less auto attack damage than if you were running a physical goblet, but overall I would still be a pretty viable choice. And by far the best weapon is going to be the Crescent Pike for this build. It gives you physical damage on Ascension. Also its passive is extremely good. After picking up an elemental orb or particle, your normal and charge attacks are going to do an additional attack, and that does 20% of your attack for 5 seconds. And so basically what this does is on each of your hits, it's going to give you some extra multipliers. Rosaria has 7 hits in her attack combo, so that's going to be 7 instances of damage within her auto attack combo. And then since her E cooldown is about 6 seconds, you're going to have this constantly up pretty much. This weapon does also have a very high base attack, which leads it to be better than this other choice that I'm going to show you. A lot of people are like, yeah, I want physical damage, and yeah, I might as well use the Dragon Spine Spear, right? Well, I'm telling you right now that the passive on this isn't as good as the Crescent Pike. These both are craftable weapons, so they take the exact same amount of resources, so you don't have to worry about that. So literally, this one is just worse than the Crescent Pike. As you can see, it has the lowest base attack for a 4-star versus the Crescent Pike, which has the highest base attack for a 4-star. This does give you 69% physical damage bonus, but it's not really worth it in terms of your overall damage output, especially since you're losing this passive damage boost from Crescent Pike. And in terms of all the other weapons, Black Cliff Pole is a perfectly solid choice. White Tassel is a perfectly solid choice actually, because it gives you crit rate as a substat and your normal attack damage is going to be increased. So this might actually be something to look out for. Deathmatch is a good option, just to give you some more attack. In terms of the 5 stars, Vortex Vanquisher is good if you're running Zhongli as like a shield character. He's also going to give you 20% physical damage resistance whenever you have his E shield up. Primordial Jade Wing Spear is also going to be good. It's going to give you some more attack, so it's going to stack up that attack a whole bunch. The Skyward Spine is a good choice also if you want a little bit more energy recharge focused on your build. This does increase your attack speed by 12%, so you can get pretty fast attacks, and also it gives you some crit rate, so that's nice. And Staff of Homa is just good on whatever character. On to the Cryo DPS version. So basically all you're going to change with this is that instead of the Bloodstained Chivalry set, what you're going to do is you're going to just use a 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set, and this is going to give you extra crit rate on enemies using that. And what you're going to do is you're going to stack up crit damage instead of crit rate on your Rosaria. This is just going to give you a lot more damage against frozen enemies. You want a cryo damage goblet, of course, and that'll be pretty good. Make sure you pair her with Chongyun, however. Since Rosaria is a polearm, she won't shatter anything, so you can keep enemies constantly frozen. Also use a Xingqiu with her, and that will basically give you the frost comp. In terms of weapons I would recommend for this one, since you are needing less crit rate, I would recommend going with the Black Cliff Polearm. It gives you more crit damage. You don't necessarily need a White Tassel, however you can if you want to have a bit more crit rate on enemies frozen. And basically the same thing with all the 5 stars, they're all really good on her at all. And last but not least, the support version. So basically with this one, it's different than the Cryo one where you want less crit rate and you're using the Blizzard Strayer set. With this one, since we don't know if Blizzard Strayer set actually works to activate her passive to give her some more crit rate, what you're going to want to do is you're going to run high crit rate on everything, a crit rate hat. You're going to want to run like a cryo goblet, since you're only going to be using your E and your ultimate ability for the support capabilities and off-field damage. So if the 4-piece cryo set doesn't work, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to run 2-piece cryo set, and you're going to want to run 2-piece Noblesse Oblige. Alternatively, if you want to go full support, you could also run 4-piece Noblesse Oblige. That's going to give your party 20% attack for 12 seconds whenever you activate your elemental burst. That'll be good. On your timepiece, you probably want to run an energy recharge actually, instead of attack percentage or anything else, just so you can have your ultimate up as much as possible. In terms of weapons, you're going to want to go with something more energy recharge oriented. Favonius Lance is a good option because it gives you energy recharge, and it also gives you energy particles whenever you hit crits. And since you're just swapping to her, if you do get a crit, you can swap back, and then your on-field character will actually get the particles from that. So that's a good option right there. Deathmatch is a very good option. It gives you 36% crit rate. That's a large amount of crit rate, and it's also going to increase your attack and defense based on how many enemies you're fighting. If you have a Lithic Spear, this also could be an okay option, just because if you're running 3 other leeway characters, even though Rosaria isn't a leeway character, you're still going to get some crit rate increase from this, and also attack percent increase. So this weapon could end up being good on Rosaria for that purpose. The best option out of all these 5 stars is going to be Skyward Spine, of course, just because of the energy recharge, the high base attack, and the extra crit rate you're getting. It's a very, very good weapon for support Rosaria. If you guys like the video, make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to make guides on like all sorts of things in multiple stages. So I already did a weapons guide for Rosaria. I did like a release stats kind of overview for her, and now this is the full comprehensive build guide before release. I might, and then after this I do post like build guides on characters when I finally get them finished to where I like the character good enough to where they're pretty good. Yeah, you guys subscribe, stay tuned for the live stream, and yeah, it's been me, Arctic. I'll see you guys next time. Farewell.